I'd like to welcome to the stage Alex Gummer, Senior Vice President, Dentsu Sport and Analytics in EMEA. Alex leads the company's strategy and client delivery across a variety of world-leading brands and properties within the sports and entertainment sector. Welcome, Alex.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, sure.
Oh, I'm back. Good morning, everyone. Delighted to be here in Riyadh this morning, and I'm going to take you through some research that Dentsu Sports Analytics has put together over the last couple of months, and really it's all based on answering one question, which is what sparks an interest in sport. We put this framework together because we're trying to understand how fandom originates, how it can help both rights holders and sponsors, and how it can really drive commercial value within the sporting ecosystem. So this was a piece of research we did in Saudi Arabia, a panel of 2,000 nationally representative personnel, and our starting point was very much, is fandom driven by star players like Yara Al-Hogbani? Is it all driven by participation, and the Juventus Academy is an example of that? Or is it built around team connections, for example, in esports with Team Falcons? But we wanted to extend out, our early hypothesis to really look across a whole range of criteria. And these all begin with the letter C. So in the English version of this piece of research, this is the 10 C's as drivers of fandom. And we looked across elements such as affiliation with championship, with the channel that you consume sports across, the characters within the sport, the characteristics of the sport itself, the speed, the strength, the power, etc. Companionship, so the connection of family and friends and whether or not they spark fandom. Competition and participation, connection with particular clubs or country, the convenience of the sport, so the cost, the scheduling, the ease of accessibility, etc. Crowds and live events, to what degree they drive fandom, and then culture, the history, the nostalgia, the values that the sport stands for. And what we were able to do is then pull down various subcategories across those 10 Cs and ask our nationally representative panel a deeper level of connection and what really drives and sparks their fandom. So we're able to analyse this at a very granular level. Just a note on this, we'll share some reports afterwards, and feel free to grab me if you want the full findings of our research that can take you through all of these different elements. So once we asked people what sparks your fandom, your interest in the sport, we found that across the kind of 6 most popular sports in Saudi, it's really participation that drives fandom in the first place as the highest individual driver. An average of 25% of respondents said the beginning of their sports interest was actually playing the sport. So it just shows how important those participation pathways are at a junior level to get people interested in the sport in the first place. And it's even more distinct when it comes to football, which is far and away the kind of largest followed sport within the region. But you can see here when we bubble chart out all the different C's, we're able to spot patterns, and rights holders and brands are able to look across different sports, different properties, and find out what the growth levers are within their particular sport. We also asked about the age at which fandom begins, and we found that sports fandom in Saudi Arabia starts earlier than it does when we compare it against European markets. So, and you can see it's even more pronounced when it comes to football, and their ability to engage younger fans is really helping them to dominate that commercial landscape when it comes to sport. And for all the sports that we talked about, we're able to pull apart the various characteristics to see where they over and under index, so you can see how that they compare versus all sports, for example. So if we look at football specifically, you've got companionship, connection and competition as participation, all over index against other sports. And that power of family, obviously a central pillar within the Saudi Arabian society. It's that connection that helps to bring more people to individual events within the region to drive interest and push the sports forward. Star power and the characters associated with the sport was another area that we looked at. So you can see here how younger fans are far more driven and far more engaged with specific athletes versus older fans who are far more affiliated with particular clubs or teams and the kind of historical context within which their connection occurs. And then once we asked people about the characters within the sport that drive their fandom, we then asked a follow-up question around which of the players actually sparked your interest, got you into the sport in the first place. And it was interesting here because we thought it would be dominated by the overseas stars, and it is to a degree, but we've also got a large following of local talent, and our hypothesis here was really that you can use those overseas stars for reach and to drive broader awareness. But if you can also highlight the kind of pathways and the stories behind your local talent, you're driving a deeper connection with fans that can make a more sticky fan relationship. So if you're either a brand or you're on the right side of the side, how can you use this type of research to help drive the commercial performance of your business? So obviously, creating commercial strategies that help grow the audience. You can learn from other sports what they do well. A sport like football has multiple drivers of interest which really help to insulate it should any of those drop for any reason. So you've got a kind of broader set of tools at your disposal. If you're a brand, you can obviously use it around your sponsorship activation and the fan engagement. You can lean into particular drivers of fandom and try and align your brand sponsorship with them. Content and storytelling can help to elevate some of these data points and help to really drive interest. So you can amplify the effectiveness of your fan acquisition strategies. And then for rights holders, we really think there's a deeper level of understanding that you can try and gain. You can try and stitch together these tendencies with individual data points within your database so that you can sort of personalise content that supports the fandom drivers that those fans are experiencing. So that's a very high-level summary of the tendencies of fandom piece of research we've done. As I say, if you've got any questions on that at this point, I'd be happy to field them. Alternatively, just grab me afterwards. Okay.